movie nerds, and welcome back to Cinematic Sarcastic, the podcast that talks all things movies and television. I'm Natalie, and I'm your host. So welcome to the first episode of 2024. I can't even believe that we are already in 2024. I feel like I blinked and it was like 2019 and then now it's 2024. It's going by so fast. But on today's episode, we are going to talk about The Brothers Sun. This is a new Netflix action series that just dropped starring Michelle Yeoh. I have watched a couple of the episodes of this one, but I have not watched the entire series. The whole series, I believe, is on Netflix. I think that there are 8 episodes. I did not make it that far into this series, and I do have some thoughts. So I didn't necessarily watch like a full trailer for The Brothers Sun. I had seen a couple of maybe like promotional teaser trailers, but mostly I want to say I just saw like promotional posters and little blurbs about what it was supposed to be. And I absolutely did not go into this with any idea of what the television show was supposed to be, other than knowing that it was going to be like an Asian action comedy. And that is not entirely, I mean, I guess it kind of is, but it is definitely not what I was expecting. I was expecting something a little bit more lighthearted. This is definitely more of a dark action comedy series. And I think for me personally, living in the States and not being like of Asian descent, some of the comedy or some of the things that I think are meant to be a comedy or meant to be funny in the episodes kind of goes a little bit over my head, because I think a lot of it is more culturally oriented. A lot of what's going on here definitely deals with like that Asian family dynamic, which I don't personally have that much experience with. So The Brothers Sun, for anyone who is not familiar with this television show, kind of deals around I want to say like a mafia kingpin sort of situation happening where the family is split down the middle, where the father or the head of this Asian mafia and the eldest son are living in China, and then the mother and the youngest son are living in the United States. And I haven't gotten that far into the television series. I don't know if they explain this too well. They do say that the family is separated just for safety reasons, but I'm not entirely sure why you would raise one brother separately from the other brother, why it would be safe to leave one and not the other, because in the show, the youngest son has no idea who he is, like has no idea that they are tied to the mafia at all, which leads me to believe that they would have been separated quite young. So I don't know why raising one young. Anyway, the point is that in the show, the father or head of this mafia gets attacked and shot. And so the oldest son has to then go to the United States to protect the mother and youngest son. Now, this whole show has a ton of action in it, more so than I was expecting. I was really expecting it to lean more on the comedy side than on the action side, but I would say it leans very heavily action. They are getting attacked a lot. There are a lot of really cool fights in this TV series. There's a lot of, martial arts and stuff that happens in it, which I think is it's a good action series if you're going in for that in and of itself. It is not my personal cup of tea, just as far as like television shows go. So this isn't one that I think that I will watch the entire way through. I don't quite think that this television show is meant for me either. Like, I don't think that I am the personal target audience of this one. But I think if you are like a big fan of something like Breaking Bad or maybe somewhere along the lines of Dexter. I don't know if that one necessarily pertains to this, but Breaking Bad for sure. I think that you would probably like this. There's a lot of action involved. There's drug selling and all of that kind of stuff that goes along. And the youngest kid he wants to be an actor, but he ends up just selling drugs to continue paying for his college because he's spending his college money to do improv. Like there's a lot of stuff that just sort of, it seems like a random bag of plot points that go on inside the brother's son. And I haven't made it that far into the show to know exactly what's going on, but I am assuming that it is going to be like a funnier sort of action-packed take on the youngest brother who wants to be an actor, kind of learning where he comes from and learning this whole mafia thing, and the hilarity that would ensue from like an actor trying to fit into this action-packed mafia world. But for me, it didn't stick. It doesn't land quite well. I think for the action, it's worth watching, but I don't necessarily want to watch a TV show just for the moments of action that are in there. And a lot of the action, I feel like, sort of takes place for the sake of having action and not necessarily because it works very well into the plot. But I mean, again, I don't think that this television show is necessarily targeting me as a person. Like this is not necessarily my cup of tea. Like I did enjoy Breaking Bad, but I did not enjoy Breaking Bad to the level that I feel like everyone else did. I didn't think it was like the end all be all of amazing shows because I'm not typically into that kind of stuff just to begin with. Like I definitely like things that are more lighthearted, I guess, unless it's like a shorter, I don't know, unless it's the BBC and there's some sort of crime drama happening there, because even that sometimes has more of a lighthearted air to it. There's a lot more humor there. And I enjoy sort of that drier humor as opposed to this kind of dark humor that is in The Brother's Son. So I think if you are interested in this one, definitely go into it keeping in mind that at least half of the series, from what I have watched, and I've only watched maybe the first 2 episodes or so, that at least half of it is going to be in Mandarin. So you will need subtitles if you do not speak Chinese as a fluent language. But that to me doesn't necessarily stop it from being good. I think that just the plot and kind of some of the stuff that's going on doesn't necessarily pertain to me or appeal to me as much as I thought it would. But at the end of the day, it is a good action series. I would recommend it if you are looking for like an action series, a darker action series to watch. The Brother's Son would be one that I think is worth watching. But if that is not your typical cup of tea, then maybe pass on this one. So definitely let me know what you thought of The Brother's Son if you have watched this one. Subscribe if you want to join the Movie Nerd family. And I hope to see you in the next episode.